My name is Elizabeth. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm really glad you're here. I read things have gotten a lot worse since we last spoke. I'm going to tell you all about it. So, really quickly, spoiler free information here. The story is about two people corresponding via email and instant messenger. It takes place in 2000, so instant messenger was a much bigger thing then. And it is about the relationship that grows between these two people and how it becomes toxic and devastating pretty quickly. I think it takes like a summer, not even, for this whole thing to happen. It starts in May and it ends in August. It's a very quick read, especially since it's set up as email and instant messenger. Like, it's really easy for us in this day and age to read those things. Like, you can go through a text message real quick. Do you know what I mean? Like, but, this is instant message, but same difference, right? And, like, in this day and age, we don't need to read, like, two crushed marigolds at gmail.com and two Agnes in Wonderland at gmail.com. I threw in the Gmail. They redact which system they use. I don't think they had Gmail at 2000, which is why I said that. So, so like that kind of thing, you don't even like really need to spend a lot of time absorbing because that's just the information of the email, right? It's a cool story. It's a queer story also. It is two gay females, which is very cool. And I think that's about as much as I can give you spoiler free. So here is the story, the full story. Join me for the ride. Okay, we have two people. We have Zoe and we have Agnes, okay? Agnes posts on a queer forum that she has an antique apple peeler for sale. And she explains that it was her grandmother's. And there's this famous composer that her grandmother says once used it. And but she also says, but my grandmother was known for telling tall tales. So bear that in mind. But I'm hoping that I can find like a real antique collector who will really appreciate this amazing appliance that is over 100 years old. It's still in good working order. She says she has wonderful memories of making, like apple pie with her mom with this peeler, and how it reminds her of her grandmother, and how it's really important to her that it be taken care of really well. She's asking $250, but she says that she will settle for $220. Great. So she gets a response from Zoe. So Zoe writes back and says, well, here's the thing. I'm not an antique collector, and I want to buy this for my grandfather, who is also not an antique collector. However, he is a huge, huge, huge fan of the composer that your grandmother says used it. And if I could get that for him, even just like the off chance that maybe it was used by him, like even if it's not real, like I think he'd get a kick out of it. He's 92, so I can't promise you that it's going to be in his possession for very long, but it will probably get passed down to one of the grandkids. I can try to make sure it's me so that I make sure and take care of it for you. Also, I was wondering if I pay the $250, if you could include expedited shipping. Thank you so much. I understand if you don't want to sell it to me, but, these emails are so polite. They're so kind. They're very honest. They explain where they're really coming from, like why she wants to give it to her grandfather, why she, why it's so precious from the other one's grandmother, all these things. And they write back and forth. And Agnes says, oh my gosh, I can't believe how honest and wonderful you were and how you really care about your grandfather. And this, I'll write a letter explaining the whole story so it can go with, so that he can see the story about how this composer used it and how great it was. I can't prove it, but I can certainly pen the story for you. And how, $250 is totally fine with the expedited shipping. Not going to be a problem. I'm thrilled that somebody who's really going to care about it is going to get it. And Agnes is the one selling it. Zoe writes back and says, I don't want to take something from you that is like your last memory of time with your mom, like the last time you smiled with your mom, or your memories with your grandmother. And, so I just want to make sure that you really, really want to sell this. And that's when Agnes writes back and says, I have to sell this because I'm not going to make my rent without it. So I really do need to sell it, but also to, assuage any concerns you might have. My mother and I haven't spoken in a very long time since I called her and I said, Mom, I have something I need to tell you. Make sure that Dad, can hear as well. And she says, I'm gay. And Mom's response is, no daughter of mine is gay. And they haven't spoken since. So she is okay with the apple peeler going to someone else and helping her to keep a roof over her head, right? At that point, she gets a letter back from Zoe, and Zoe says, I'm going to need your bank information. I'm going to need your routing number and your account number because I am going to wire your rent into your account for you. I have been blessed with not needing to worry about money, and please let me help you. I know that you're probably someone who is going to say, no, don't do that. I'll take care of it. I'll figure it out, what have you. But please, like I was blessed with this luck. Like it's just luck that I happen to have money. So let me help you. Like it would be just as beneficial to me as it would be to you. Please let me help you. Just give me your routing number and your whatever, and I will get that money to you. I'll put $1,000 in your bank account, and you will. Did she say like excuse me? I spent my last money, my last cash on food that I'm hoping will last me until I get my next paycheck. So Agnes writes back, and she says, I wish I could say no, but I have to say yes. And thank you. Oh my God, I've heard about things happening like this for people, from complete wonderful strangers, and I never thought anything like this would happen to me, and you have given me faith in humanity, and, and Zoe writes back and says, or they go on Instagram, in Instant Messenger is what they do. They go on Instant Messenger, and they start talking, and Zoe says, we're part of the queer community. We have to take care of each other. And she says that she knows how lucky their community is because they get to choose their family. And chosen family is far, far stronger than blood relations. That, blood is thicker than water thing is kind of ridiculous. Personally, me, Elizabeth Ellen, I believe that love is thicker than blood. Just saying. Back to the story. So they start to really get to know each other, and it's very sweet. Like there's this little friendship starts, and Zoe says, you know what? Do me a favor. Keep the apple peeler. I want you to hang it up someplace where you'll see it and it'll make you smile. Keep it. I want you to keep it. I want you to have it for the good memory of your mom, because of your grandmother. Hang on to it. Like Grandpa, I can find Grandpa something else. So now they're just sort of friends, right? And you can tell that Agnes is starting to get a bit of a crush on Zoe. And says I had a dream about you, and I've been thinking about you, and you've made me so happy, and so you've changed my life and my world, and you've made it so that I feel like there's a future. I mean, at one point she even says, she alludes to considering choosing not to be, and that she was headed that direction, or she was going to have to try to get money through some really gross means. So we have that sort of information about her. When Zoe responds and says, I've been thinking about you too, but I don't think that you would be interested in being with me the way that I would want to be with you. And Agnes is like, well, what does that mean? I don't, what? She says, well, I would want to own you, control you completely. Like 100%. Like I would be in control and you would be 100% taken care of. I would make sure that you were always taken care of. Your interests, best interests will always be the top priority, but I would be in complete control. And Agnes is like, I'm not so sure that would be a bad thing. That might be actually kind of great. And so Agnes explains more of the details. First of all, Agnes would be considered drudge. It would be called drudge. And Zoe would be called sponsor. So it's like a slave master situation. But it's drudge and sponsor. And Zoe says that she would need access to all of her finances, to all of her social media, all of her emails, all of her stuff. Oopsies. Sorry. Access to all of her stuff and, financial and whatever. And if I ask you to do something, you need to do it. You can't question. There's no questioning the sponsor. She's like, and there's a contract. And the contract includes that every night you will sleep without any clothes and in the air conditioning so that you understand that things can be really difficult, but that ultimately your sponsor will take care of you. And one of the rules was she can eat at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and 6 p.m. And that was the only time she's allowed to eat. And Agnes agrees to the contract. And so now the emails are coming to Dear Drudge, signed sponsor. And she says, if I ask you to do something, if I give you a request to do something, your response on should be, I shouldn't hear from you, email-wise, I shouldn't hear from you until you are responding, done. So the first thing that she has her do is go out and buy the loudest, trampiest red dress that she can find and blood red lipstick and put them both on and go back to work in that outfit. And she's like, oh my God, what are people going to say? What they're going to do? Are you questioning? No, well, I'll do it. So she does it and writes back, done. And then she gives a description of what happened, that she went and she got this dress and and that when she came in, people were giving her looks like, what are you doing? Right? And she gets called into the boss's office, who says, I don't think what you're wearing is appropriate. So how about you go home for the rest of the day and think about the appropriate things to wear to work? Fine. She goes home. She writes this email. She thinks it's hilarious. She doesn't think she could ever have done anything like that. She doesn't understand how she managed to do that, but she did. And the next request she gets is when she gets to work, she needs to leave her underwear somewhere where someone will find it at work. And the sponsor, of course, says they should be a fun color, they should have lace, they should be like fun panties to find. So she gets to work, she takes her underwear off, she puts them on the handle of a toilet, in the employee restroom. And a woman catches her, reports her, and she gets fired. And she doesn't care. She's like, and I thought to myself, it's okay. My sponsor will take care of me. I don't need a job. And when she explains all of this to Zoe, Zoe's response is, I didn't I mean, you want to keep a job, you can keep a job. I didn't say you had to quit your job, but you don't need one. And I'm glad that you're not upset about the fact that you don't have it anymore. I mean, I think her whole point was to get her fired, right? So the next thing she asks her to do is go to the park and find a salamander. Go to the swampy park and find a salamander, put it in her pocket, keep it with her all day. If it for some reason dies, suffocates in her pocket, she needs to take it back to the park and get another one. At the end of the day, the one that is still alive in her pocket, she's to take it back to the park and smash it with a rock. Agnes's response is, you need to ask me something else to do. I couldn't do that. I'm not going to destroy a perfectly innocent little animal because some lady who says she's my sponsor tells me I have to do this. And when Zoe writes back, it's, are you saying no? Are you saying no to me? Because drudges can't say no to their sponsors. Maybe this is too much for you. Agnes says, no, it's fine. I'll do it. I understand. Fine. She gives the entire description of how she meets this little salamander and she puts it in her pocket and she takes care of him all day. And when she takes him back and how he just sits on the rock and he just waits for her. Like he doesn't run away. She just puts him on this big boulder so that she can find another rock. And he just waits for her because she's taking care of him all day. And she smashes that rock right down onto that salamander until he's, she explains how his little leg twitches until he's gone. And then she finishes her email with, I can't do this. Consider our contract null and void. And I can't, the fact that I even did this for you, like this, I didn't think I'd ever do anything like this. I can't believe that I did this and I can't continue this way. Zoe's response is, I completely understand. I did not mean to push you too far. I did not mean to make you uncomfortable or what have you, but I completely understand. Consider our contract null and void and, good luck to you. Good luck to you. So Zoe gets another email from Agnes. And she tells this crazy story about a teenager who literally crucifies his little baby brother. And her reason for telling the story is there are so many worse people out there. And I can't believe I gave up on you so quickly. And I know that there are people who could do so many worse things to me. And you are just trying to help me and take care of me and protect me. And I shouldn't have, cut you off as quickly. And I shouldn't have gotten rid of you so quickly. And I'm so sorry. And it takes a couple of days, but Zoe writes back. So they meet on Instant Messenger again, and they decide that they can reinstate the contract. Zoe says, "Now you need to understand, it's back to the way it was, which means you have to obey me. You have to be honest. You have to be, and you have to do as I ask of you." And Agnes is like, I totally understand. I can't believe that I was ever disrespectful or dismissive of you. You're the only person in my life who hasn't left me. And I don't want to lose you. And she says, well, why in the world would I hurt you? Why in the world would I leave you? And Agnes tells the story about her grandmother. How her grandmother would babysit her when she was a child, and she would give her an egg, and she would have to stand in the closet with the egg for hours, like all day. And when Grandma came back and opened the door, she would inspect the egg to make sure that there were no cracks. And if there was any crack or break or anything at all, Agnes would have to eat the entire egg, shells and everything. So she was taught that love is when people hurt you. She literally says that. I was taught that love is shown by people hurting you. And Zoe's I'm thinking Zoe's reaction to that is probably great. That's perfect. That's what I need. I need my drudge to do exactly what I need her to do. And if it's going to hurt her, it's fine. Right? That was my thought. But of course, that's not at all what she says. She says, I'm going to take care of you. And I'm going to, everything is about making sure that you're safe and protected and take care of and, all that stuff. But the rules are reinstated. I do know that some people do feel protected and comforted and taken care of by someone who makes all their decisions. There is a kind of personality that really thrives in that space. And as long as it's consensual between everyone, it's cool, right? So we're still at consensual here. So, right? Great. Drudge, sponsor, awesome. They both really seem to care about each other. But what's really interesting is they still haven't met in person. It's all email and instant message. It's really interesting.
So Zoe and Agnes are talking, and Zoe says, what is it that you want more than anything else? And Agnes says, you can't give me the thing that I want more than anything else. She said, well, just tell me, She said, I want a baby. I want to be a mom. I want to feel a life growing within me. And Zoe's like, there might be a way for you to feel that. I can't have a child with you. That's not something I can do. Certainly not right now. But if you really want to feel a life growing inside you, there could be a way to do that. Are you interested? Yes, of course. I want to experience this. Yes. She says, so you need a tapeworm.
Sorry if my face made a thing, but turns out Zoe says that when she was younger, she was like in college age and she was traveling somewhere, she ate something that caused her to get a tapeworm. And so she knows exactly what it feels like. She knows exactly what she would go through. She's like, there is a living thing living off of you. A baby is really just a parasite, right? Well, for the first, when it's a fetus is a parasite, absolutely. That's why it's a fetus and not a baby. Babies can live on their own. Fetuses have to live in conjunction with, they're a parasite. They have to live symbiotically. So, symbiotically, is that a word? Well, it is now. So, so she says, there's no way to, you can't order a tapeworm and then eat it and just have it. That's not the way it works. But if you do take the following steps, it should work out for you. You go to your corner butcher and you get sirloin steak and you put it outside for 3 days. Just let it fester in the sun for 3 days. Bring it inside.
Eat it all.
And then wait and see. The email back is, it's finished. So she describes it. She explains, how she had to, get the flies to go away and what the maggots felt like when they burst between her teeth. And how, it was like chewing old rubbery plastic. But she manages, and I think she vomits at one point, but she manages to keep everything down. And she's very, very sick. And her roommate takes her to the hospital in the middle of the night because she can tell that she's just in so much pain. And so she is convinced that it didn't work because wouldn't the doctors have found something or seen something or discovered something? There were all these tests and there was no one ever said anything about a tapeworm. But then, so he says, well, just give it a few days. Don't convince yourself that it hasn't happened. And that's when Agnes sends an email saying, it's a boy. There's a life growing inside me. It's our baby. I think of it as a boy. It makes me so happy. I dream of the two of us in bed with, laying in bed together with the baby coiled inside me. As far as I'm concerned, Agnes has fallen off the deep end. I mean, so when Zoe writes, or when they get on instant messenger, Zoe says, how are you going to deal with the fact that, how are you going to deal with it when you pass the tapeworm? She says, why would I pass the tapeworm? She says, well, that's what happens. Eventually, your body will get rid of that tapeworm. Or it will, eat you. And she says, why? I don't understand. Why would it ever leave me? I'm going to have this baby inside me for the rest of my life. This is my new normal. Like, this is our child. Why are you behaving this way? And they go off instant messenger. Agnes talks about how happy she is that she's got this living thing inside of her and that it's their child. And it's so rough. Zoe writes back and says, I don't think you're healthy. This is not the right thing for you. You don't understand that that's not a baby. I wanted you, she's like, I wanted to hurt you. And she explains, she tells her about this dream she has where she like literally devours her and how it really scares her. And she cares too much for Agnes to continue with the things that she's doing. She says, I'm not a good person. I'm a bad person. And I was trying to hurt you. And I shouldn't have been doing that because now I really care about you. And I can't continue with this because you have she's basically gotten delusional. She thinks that this tapeworm is a baby that they're going to have together. She called it a boy. And she even says, like, I know tapeworms are actually, they have both, but I'm thinking him as a boy. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And so Zoe says, consider the contract null and void. I'm not going to respond to you anymore. I need you to go get help. And poor Agnes. This is the point where we get the title. Agnes writes, and she says, things are a lot worse since we last spoke. And she talks about some pain that she's been in and how much it hurts. And about how Zoe was right. And she passes the tapeworm. And she describes what it is, like what it looks like. It's gross. But she has it. She fishes it out on the toilet, whatever. And she starts to cuddle it like a baby. Because it's her baby. And Agnes tells us that she took the apple peeler off the wall. She's thinking of using it. Now, the part I didn't tell you is that the very beginning of the book starts with an author's note that says that the case is still pending, that Agnes's surviving family did not want to speak to him, or he got a little information from them. I can't remember, but surviving family. So Agnes, we know at the very beginning, doesn't survive this thing. And that Zoe is, he couldn't get a hold of Zoe's legal team because this is the proof that Zoe's at least a little responsible for what happened to this Agnes woman. And that's how it ends. That was wacky. Oh my God, the tapeworm child. And like they seem so... Agnes seems so together and with it, and like she's got her, what together, and she finally has someone who will accept her for who she is 100%, which is great. Like, yay, they found each other. And then it's someone who's manipulative and cruel, and but they're not quite cruel enough to continue to see it to fruition. And so Agnes decides to to not be. And there was that foreshadowing at the beginning where she says, I thought that I might exit early, on my own, but I found you, so I'm better now, right? So when she loses that person, it's not really all that shocking that that's the choice she makes, but that closing scene vision of her cuddling the baby while she figures out how to use the apple peeler to, in the parlance of YouTube, unalive herself, is quite a thing to be left with. It was really short. I mean, like, really short. It took me like a few hours to get through. I wouldn't call this a novel. I'd call it a novella, but Stephen King's novellas are like 7 or 8 hours long to read, and this was like 3, and it's a novel. So, but as long as long, short, that's not what it's about, as long as it's a good story. So, you know me, I love me some good stories. So that was the book. Quite a ride. Quite a ride. Okay. Hey, do me a favor. Be nice to each other out there. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. And I'll catch you next time.